Hi, 518. I want to take time this week to do what I would have done if we were meeting in person, and that is show you some pictures that I took of materials in the George Crumb papers at the Library of Congress. So I went there in summer of 2018, and with the purpose of just seeing what they had, really. I didn't even know completely what I was looking for, and they have a ton of stuff. They have boxes and boxes of this stuff. I'll attach the finding aid that the Library of Congress keeps on the Crumb papers so that you can just see how many boxes and what types of things are in each box. I'll start with pictures that are in the George Crumb scrapbooks. So I think this is something that probably he and his wife put together, and they have a whole bunch of scrapbooks. They have like 4 or 5 of them. They're really big. I'll show you a different picture of the outside of one of them in a different set of images. But we'll start with this. This is a set of pictures from the different scrapbooks at different times in his life. You can see that one says that it was taken in Tel Aviv in 1980. Anyway, born in 1929, so quite a bit younger than he is now, 40 years ago. And here's another. There are a few different images like this where they've superimposed a picture of his face with one of his scores. They're kind of weird. I just took pictures of everything that interested me while I was there, including this one of Crumb in downtown Colorado Springs in 1964. So I have not actually spent a lot of time in downtown Colorado Springs, but if you have, maybe you recognize that intersection. I don't know, probably looks pretty different. I love this picture of him and his wife at their 2 different pianos in their home. And if you just look, I'll look at this caption here with you. It says, his and hers. Mrs. Crumb, who was Elizabeth Brown of Chesapeake, near Charleston, plays duo piano with her husband in the den. When you are as musical as the Crumbs, you have to have 2 pianos, an upright for her and a grand for him. In addition to keeping her own house, taking care of the children and the dogs, Elizabeth gives private lessons on the piano. She is at home on the range as well as the ivories. Her country biscuits beat Beethoven. I've never known quite what to make of that description. When it says she's at home on the range, I think they mean the range of a stove, because they mention her being like a homemaker. So that's great. Okay, anyway, here's another one of these pictures, and I like how he or whoever made the scrapbook trimmed it so that you have the spiral galaxy part of probably the Macrocosmos, the piano works about the zodiac. Yeah, that's where it says, from the part about the zodiac, and his face. Here he is with, I like how it says unidentified dog, in Brunswick, Maine, in 1966. Here's his wedding day with his wife in 1949. Lovely picture. Look how high-waisted these pants are. Amazing. She looks lovely. Here's a picture of him just looking a little spooky. And these 2 things don't totally go together. I mean, there's this picture of, there's this cutout from a program, but then there's also this picture of them before they even got married. So that's in 1948 in West Virginia. Looking so young. Here's a picture of him with, they have their daughter Anne, and then they had 2 more children much later, so she's quite a bit older than the other kids. And Anne actually just passed away this past October from ovarian cancer. But she was a singer in a more of a Broadway or a musical theater kind of a singer, but she recorded tons of his own music, so I know that was, I mean, obviously it's a huge blow for any family to have that happen, and I'm really worried about the toll that it's going to take on his health this year, because he turned 90 in October himself, and so I hope that he can survive that loss, although it must be difficult. So that's the family and their 2 dogs. 1968 it says. Here's him playing. Or him and, I believe that's his daughter, not his wife. From the previous picture, right? Playing. Here's their wedding announcement for his wife. No, stop it. Now the other dog is starting to cry, so I'm sorry if you hear that. But you can just see the announcement of his wedding, which I just think it's very sweet. Gus, stop crying, baby. Stop crying. Okay. I love this headline so much. It's from the Charleston, West Virginia Gazette from May 8th of 1968. Mother is proud of son's Pulitzer. Which that is when he won the Pulitzer Prize for Echoes of Time in the River. Here's a picture of him from the 70s, so he's looking a little more like his more recent self, although still pretty young compared to now. There's so many pictures of him smoking cigarettes, which is just really funny to me because it's just such a generational difference that you wouldn't see that now, of course. When he's smoking cigarettes, it's pictures from like the 60s, like this one is. Media, Pennsylvania, where he's lived for a really long time outside Philadelphia. Gus, stop it. This picture of him and his wife in 1965. Very sweet. This picture, more high-waisted pants. 48, the year they got married. Maybe even that same outfit, I can't tell. Here's a picture. He taught piano in Boulder as an adjunct for a little while. So here's a picture of him smoking a pipe in Boulder, I guess, in 1964. This is a picture of his dad, who was an oboist, professional musician, as far as I'm aware. I think maybe also a church musician, like a church music director. And a lovely picture of him and his wife, 1967. Him and his wife again, 51. You can tell these are not in any chronological order. And the last one of this set for this little first video is him in Buffalo. He had a fellowship where he went to Buffalo for a couple of years after Boulder in 1965. I've got this series of more pages from the scrapbooks, but this is more of the sketchbook, excuse me. So we'll start here. This is the opening of a sketchbook where he just, and it is like, it sounds like it's parchment paper, and he's just like, or it's not parchment paper, manuscript paper, staff paper, he's just like scribbled all over it. I wanted to show you this. Pitches, series of pitches that he's working on here. Here's some little notes for Idol of the Misbegotten that we're looking at this week, where it just says idle, where he's looking at different types of dynamics and breathing patterns that he's interested in using. Here's one of the scrapbooks, different from that, and my arm for scale, to show you how big they are. And I can't believe how much time that must have taken, but I have this impression that his mother, or his wife, but I suspect his mother, just never threw anything away. Like if there was a newspaper article that mentioned him, she like filed it somehow, and so they had tons of stuff to give the Library of Congress, which is pretty cool. He also saved like notes people wrote him and stuff like that. I really like that they saved this. Like, why were they thinking, you know what the Library of Congress really needs is this note that says his car has been parked behind England Brothers for several days and has been badly scandalized. I get a kick out of that. This is the Library of Congress Performing Arts Reading Room, and so you can go there. You don't even have to have like a very official reason. Anybody with an ID can go there, and you get a special like Library of Congress library card, and it's free. I would say you can just show up there. You don't have to have an appointment, but I did email them a couple of times before I went just to say, like, here's what I'm interested in looking at. Can you confirm that it won't be like behind glass in an exhibit during those days or something? Like, that's not super likely to happen with these papers, but they have tons of stuff and collections of American sheet music and other composers' things. And so anyway, you just sort of double check with them that it's going to be available for you to look at, and then you show up at the reading room, you sign in with your little card, you request things from their system. Like you say, I want, from the George Crumb papers, I want, box number 4 and box number 5, and then you tell them, see where it says here, like B32, you say I'm sitting at B32, and you write that on a piece of paper, and they send it off to like the storage area, and then those people send it back on like a little dumbwaiter elevator, and so they retrieve it for you, and you can have it, and they'll store it for you in the reading room for like a few days if you're going to be there for like a few days, so you don't have to request it every single time, and then you work on it until you're ready to sign out. So it's pretty cool. You're only allowed to have like pencil and paper and a computer with you in here. You're not allowed to have pens or like what's other, I don't know. You're not allowed to have stuff that you could damage anything with. But for his things, because he's not like 1,000 years old, they let you just sort of handle it. You don't have to have like gloves or anything. So it was really nice. They're very helpful people there. They're trained musicologists that work there. You can email them questions too, but it was a really cool place to visit. And here are some places where it's just nice to see a composer who's really successful, like to see his markings to himself. Too clever. Here, where he has this wonderful list of his own musical features that are important to him. So 12-tone organization is one. That's not one that I really emphasized for you in the readings that we're doing, but there are pieces that have a more kind of noticeably 12-tone organization. Silence is a constructive element. Color is a constructive element for sure. Text set in Spanish is also not something that I've really studied of his, but he does love Lorca, and so he has a lot of settings of Lorca poems. Rhythm characterized by symmetrical forms. Translation provided in program. Much Sprechstimme, which is that whisper singing like in Pura Lunaire. Also tone in voice, always surrealistic voice. The instrumental intro might appear intact at the end of the work. I think that these are actually notes about the Sarabanda. Oh no, this is one of the madrigals, where it has muerte in the title. Anyway, but I think a lot of those features are true of other works, not just those madrigals. Here's a sketch, and you can see where he's written W.C. Syrinx at the top, so he's working on some of the Idol for the Misbegotten. You can see, it looks to me like he sketches quickly and in a somewhat messy fashion, informal fashion. Here's where I like this one because it has this giant coffee ring on it. Because it really humanizes him to see these sketches, I think, to see here's somebody who has work habits just like you do. And this last part, he was considering a cicada drone for the Idol. And then you can see where he's got some other, Apparition is one of his other kind of more famous early works. You can see where he's got some notes about that in this document. Okay, and for the third and final portion of this, I've got a couple of pages of sketches for Black Angels in particular. So we'll look here to start with. I love this because I think he's really conscientious about different sounds having symbolic meaning or other kinds of semiotic meaning, if not symbolic. So that's part of why I've prompted you to read all of these things about quotation and semiotics and all of this, because it's something I think we have to really grapple with to study his music, what all these different things mean in combination. So you can see where he's written 7 times. We talked in the Johnston article about 7 and 13 being really important, or at least they were at the time, even if he doesn't remember now, certain things happening 7 times, 7 times. I like this idea that the bell is a symbol of good, maracas are a symbol of evil. That was helpful for me to find. I love this because I just think it's helpful anytime we have this idea of a composer who is really brilliant, and I love his music. I think he is. I just love seeing them struggle in a certain way, because it just shows that they're human and they work hard just like you do. So anyway, here's Crumb saying bad, bad, bad about his own music. Okay. Here's the cover of the the sketches for Black Angels. You can see his signature in 1970 there, the year it was premiered. He actually began writing it the year before. And here's, you can remember that palindrome sketch from the Johnston article, which is taken from, I think, some program notes, or liner notes for the first recording of Black Angels, but it shows the palindrome of the piece, and you can see where he's got tutti, solo, duo, trio, duo, solo, tutti. So you can see how he has the instrumentation work in that same kind of arch in each half of it, meeting symmetrically in the middle with the Black Angels movement, and then totaling 13. So 7 and 13 get to play important roles there, starting and ending with the electric insects. It doesn't quite end with the electric insects the way that this makes it seem, but they do make their return toward the end of the piece. So that's cool to see him working that out. And then here, you can see that form took a little while for him to arrive at. So here's some other sketches of it. Same here. Departure, absence, return sketched there on the left. And here he's starting to put in titles for some of those other movements. I really like this, Ancient Voices of Children, which is one of the names of these movements, but it says find another concept. And here for the solos, number 4, that's the Devil movement, solo cadenza. And then number 10, the solo aria, is the cello, so God and the Devil. Here's where he's listed the different languages that he's going to use. He's trying to use 7 different languages, including English. This piece contains the numerals 13 in 7 languages. And here's where he's written the word 13 in all these languages, specifically. I can't quite read what this says. Programmed, maybe? In for less familiar words. So he's got to include he includes like where he writes Ju-san down here. It's just like a phonetic spelling of it. I guess that is too technically because they're not in Japanese like kanji characters or whatever. But anyway, he does include, pronunciation. That's what that says. Pronunciation for less familiar words. And in the score, it does actually say like how to pronounce each one. 13 in 7 languages? Can see where he's doing some of the sketching here. This looks like the insects to me. And again, working on the different arrangement of the different movements. So interesting too how he writes open up conception. I wonder what that means, like if he's trying to be less, I don't know, chained in by his own ideas, hemmed in by his own ideas. I'm not sure. So there were many more pictures than that, but that's where I'm going to leave it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of these sketches. If you want to see more of them, we can do a Zoom call at some point, and I will share my screen with you and show you the rest of the pictures that I've taken there, but there were tons. And I will attach the finding aid so that you can just look through that and see what all they have there. But if you're studying American music, I do think that they're a really wonderful resource. People who are just there to help you, and they were very wonderful to work with. So I hope you're having a great day. Stay healthy and warm. I hope you're enjoying the snow. Bye for now.